Hello, my name is Matthew. I'm here with my good friend Ben,
Hi.
and we're going to talk about part two of Crime and Punishment. This is a copy that I'm reading, translated by Michael R. Katz, Dostoevsky, and um, you haven't read it,
No.
right? So it's one of those Dostoevsky books. We've talked about the Karamazov brothers, and the Karamazov brothers is a patricide. So the father is murdered in the book.
Disney style.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
there's like a murder mystery in the Karamazov brothers.
All right.
This is a hugely long novel. It's like 900 pages long. The murder doesn't happen until like 400 or 500 pages in.
Huh.
It's like way into the book before the thing that um, is the story about the book even happens. It's like the critical moment.
Right.
So Crime and Punishment is also a murder mystery, but the murder happens like straight away, the first 100 pages.
Okay.
Really interesting. Like one book, like you're reading, you're going like, how can this keep going?
Right.
Where in this book, it's 600 pages long, the murder happens. It's like, well, what's the rest of the book?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Crime and Punishment is it's from the perspective of the murderer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so it's this guy. We're in 19th century Russia, St. Petersburg. He's like a young, failed student, poor, hungry, mentally ill. He's left his family to go into the city. The parents, the family, like sacrificed a lot of money to send him there, but now he's not in school. He didn't graduate. He's this intellectual, thinks very highly of himself, and is judgmental and bitter to the world because of his circumstances. Like he's this bright guy. If everyone could just realize
Right.
how smart he is, and he sees this woman, a widow of a civil servant who runs a little pawn shop. And she's this horrible woman, and he gets this idea of like she has all this stuff, all this money in her little apartment, doing no good for anybody.
Right.
He thinks, I'll just kill her.
Huh.
I'll,
Like you do.
I'll go in there. I'm gonna kill her. I'll take all of her stuff, and
So terrible.
and you read these pages where he's doing these mental gymnastics of why it's morally a good thing. Here's one person with all this wealth. She's not really that wealthy, but when you have nothing,
Sure.
he can kill her, take all this stuff, and then look at all the good that he can do, where she was like the impediment.
Right. Right. Huh.
And he has like these, he thinks very highly of himself. Like he has all these grandiose ideas about how criminals are bad at their job. And so he's kind of thinking how he's going to do his murder,
Right.
or his crime.
Watch
and
this.
Watch this. He's not going to get caught. It's going to go like smooth sailing.
Right.
And there's other critical things that happen in part one. He meets this drunkard who has like a horrible family, and he's living in an apartment where he's like not paying rent, sneaking in and out of the house. He seems like he's really alone. He gets a letter from his family that his sister is engaged to be married to somebody that's going to be in town. So his mother writes him this letter. And he's like sick, poor, not eating, not drinking, and like severely mentally ill. Either because of brain chemistry or from the lack of nutrition.
Right.
And so he commits the murder, and it doesn't go very well. He just like falls to pieces immediately. Like he doesn't know how to access any of the locks and drawers. He has like her ring of keys, but the keys aren't fitting. the woman the woman that he murdered, her sister like walks into the apartment, so he has to like kill her by surprise.
Oh,
He
jeez.
he had this like moral reason why it was a good thing to kill the one woman, but not the other. But now he has to do it out of necessity.
Gosh.
Like loses his mind, like really loses his train of thought. Like he's practically like doing chores in the crime scene. He's like cleaning up and at the sink, not fleeing.
Oh,
And not
gosh.
collecting the things that he needs to collect.
Right.
Realizes the door is still open.
Oh my gosh.
He tries to leave and finds out like two people are walking down the hallway and that they want to come in that apartment.
Oh no.
So now he's like locked in there, and then he escapes.
Right.
He does escape. Goes home and practically just passes out. That's part one. Part two, it's really gripping.
Mm-hmm.
But part two, a large portion of it is just him laying in bed in this like delirious, like mental psychosis. Like he's completely ill. There's a doctor, but he like wakes up the next morning, and not the landlady, but this other person says you got to go to the police station. Very next day,
Ugh.
wakes up as a murderer.
Yeah.
Oh, he has like a summons or something, and while he's there, it's because he hasn't been paying his rent.
Right. Okay. Does he know that?
He finds out when he gets there, but like he's there like shaking in his boots.
Right.
Like, while he's there, like in the police station, there's talk about this murder that happened.
Oh gosh.
Police officers are talking about it. People are there. He's just like shaken. Like he's just totally out of his mind.
Right.
He goes home, and part one feels really like isolated and claustrophobic. It seems like he doesn't have anyone in the world. He's sneaking around. The streets feel totally barren. Part two, all of a sudden, all these people are popping up. He has a friend over. There's a doctor. The sister's fiance shows up into his apartment. He's like running into like all these people, and just like that murder, where at first like it's going like really easy, like there's no one around, goes in, does the thing, leaves. While he's trying to escape, all these problems come up.
Right.
People all over the place, and it like kind of mirrors that same kind of thing. And while he's in bed sick, the friend and the doctor taking care of him are talking about the murder. Like it's like a news item. He's like laying there, and like, it almost feels like the angel and devil,
Right.
like as if the people that are talking are like his subconscious.
Yeah. Bugs Bunny.
Exactly. And like someone goes like, because he would go to the pawn dealer and hawk stuff. And so the friend and the doctor are talking, and they're like, well, they'll do a police investigation. They'll go through her ledger, figure out who was buying things, who was pawning things. He like goes, what are they gonna do?
Oh my gosh.
And they're also talking about like how much of a bumbling buffoon whoever perpetrated the crime must have been. Like
Oh,
how
man.
terrible terrible job. It didn't know what he was doing. Didn't steal the right stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Like the idea that like one drawer is full of banknotes,
Ugh.
the other drawer is full of socks that might have a little necklace.
Oh my gosh.
And he's just like laying there like he can't say anything.
Right.
He's starting to get like racked with guilt, but at the same time doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes the whole thing exciting and tense and intriguing is the moment of the crime. There's two people show up. He's now a double murderer. He needs to get out. And we've been spending time with this guy, Raskolnikov.
Okay.
You're rooting for him.
Yeah.
Like you want him to get out.
Right.
And like for the rest of the book, like as things start arising, you kind of don't want him to get caught. There's nothing good about him.
Sure, yeah.
You don't read it and like see a redeeming feature, but
Right.
you've spent time with them, and for whatever reason, it's like, I guess I hope he gets away with it.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting
That's fun.
reading experience. He goes, part two, he goes back to the crime scene.
Oh, that's good.
Great idea. There's people in there like cleaning up, not anyone from the police, but like painters, people go like people that like the landlord would send someone in to like clean it up so they can rent it again.
Right.
Whatever they're in there. He's like in the apartment while there's workers in there.
Oh gosh.
And like they're like, "What are you doing here?" You know, and he's saying like all these really suspicious things. He leaves there, and a lot of the stuff that happens throughout the book feels really dreamlike and nightmarish. It feels like that Kafka, Kafkaesque feeling. He leaves there to go home or wherever he's going, and there's like a scene outside on the street. There's a carriage, horses, and then just like a mangled mass of a body lying there. There's a crowd, police officers. Like all of a sudden, you spend a lot of time with police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was a guy that he met like just a day ago at the bar. They were like drinking, and he like tells him his life story. It's this horrifically sad, pathetic life that this guy had. Like he's spending all of his family's money, who are like destitute, at the bar.
Oh gosh.
He's like stumbling home from the bar and just swerves into the road while a galloping carriage being pulled by horses tramples over him.
Oh my gosh.
He's not dead, but he's just laying there, like his chest is collapsed, his face has like hoof gashes. Raskolnikov recognizes him because that's my friend. They want to take him to the hospital. He goes, "This is what we'll do. We're going to take him back to his apartment. I'm sure there's going to be a doctor in the apartment. I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay for everything." He keeps saying, like it's like this feeling of like misdirected redemption.
Right.
Maybe like because he has all those good deeds that he has to do. He had good deeds.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Third murder charge.
somehow he convinces this group of people to take like a man that's been trampled by horses, convince them it's a better idea not to go to the hospital.
Oh man.
They get into this like these squalid quarters. The police officers are there. The whole apartment is up and alarmed. The house is like this. It's the wife and these children with nothing, wearing rags, and they bring in this body, and the woman, the wife and mother, just like, what now? This is a man that every time he leaves the house, they're worse off.
Right.
She's not all that upset that he's dying.
Yeah.
She's angry about this.
Ugh.
There's a doctor that shows up and just like he's gonna die. He's like on his dying breath, and he's like pleading for forgiveness. His wife is like, "I don't want your forgiveness."
Oh my god.
Still yell at him.
Oh.
And Raskolnikov leaves. Just that doesn't it seem like a dreamlike, nightmarish?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like
It's like sitcom.
it really is.
So bad.
It really is. Like these situations keep happening to this guy. He goes home, goes back to his apartment, and he's with somebody because he visited his friend. But leading up to his apartment, the lights on, and it's like, well, who, because he's a murderer.
Right.
It's always like now, like it's always gonna be in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Normally, there's not a light on, but it's his mother and sister
Huh.
have like arrived into town.
Oh, jeez.
Open up the door. He walks in and passes out at the end of part 2.
Huh.
He's like faints because he's still not eating anything. He's not drinking anything.
Right.
Now he's running around town, running around the streets, getting roped into this horse trampling episode. That's like where are we? 15 minutes. The thing that I think is like so gripping and interesting is like one thinking about like the motivation. You know, why did he commit the crime?
Mm.
I'm so much more interested in like, why is this an interesting person to follow?
Right.
These things are happening, and like during the horse trampling episode, it's like maybe he's on the right track. Maybe he's doing that. Maybe they don't need to go to the hospital.
Right.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
And like what's going to develop? Like we've seen like his mental state dramatically change. Like he was kind of mentally ill and had all these fanciful ideas in part 1. But after he committed the crime, he's a different man.
Mm.
It doesn't seem like he's ashamed or guilty yet, but he's completely lost his mind.
Right.
And physically, on top of all the not eating and drinking, he's like just wasting away. In part because of the moral depravity.
Sure.
He did something that you can't undo.
Yeah.
There's something else, like, with the guy that gets trampled, and he goes like, I want to pay the money. Like, I want to pay money. And it's another death where almost as if you can, through a gesture, eliminate consequences.
Mm.
I'll do something and it'll just go away.
Right.
We'll just reverse it, and that part wouldn't have happened because I'm doing a good thing now, so everything can go back to being normal.
Right.
But it never will.
Sure. Yeah. The opposite will.
The opposite.
Gosh, what a guy.
As Raskolnikov. I like that it sounds sort of like Rascal.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, I'm trying to picture how any of that felt like a good plan.
Bad plan.
It's all really bad. Gosh. Well, what's part 3 about?
I'm reading part 3 now. More the same.
Yeah. You've read this, right?
I think this is my 3rd time reading this. It's first time reading the Michael Katz translation.
Mm.
And I'll show this. I showed you and I've showed everyone. But Steve's name was on that, which I think is just awesome.
Very impressive.
Very impressive, Steve.
My name's on no books.
Anything you want to say or any thoughts?
I'd like to know how it turns out. I don't know if I'm going to have time to read it anytime soon.
It is a page turner.
Yeah.
It's absolutely thrilling.
I do have some Audible credits.
I think you would really like, as soon as you start it,
Yeah.
Unlike the Karamazov brothers, which is my favorite. I mean, it's just the best. It's one of my favorite novels.
Right.
It has a large cast of characters, fantastic story, like the plot, but there's so much backstory that you need, that Dostoevsky gives you,
Right.
in order to tell. So like the first 200 pages of the Karamazov brothers is just setting up before he even starts telling you about anything.
Wow.
He has Demons, which is a it's a chaotic novel. Again, lots of characters. It's more political, more philosophical, less plot driven. The Idiot, the other novel, much more meandering, much more philosophical. Crime and Punishment. The point of all that is just this, like, it's like a train on rails.
Mm.
you got this one guy that you're following. One thing the story hinges on one thing that happens, cut and dry. There is a murder, an unmotivated
Right.
murder
Yeah.
that happens, and then what happens next? Does he get caught?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get caught, as you're reading it, the book is called Crime and Punishment.
Mm.
So as you're going along and he's not getting caught, we can think, what punishment is being inflicted?
His miserable life.
His miserable life.
It's worse than jail.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what I have to say. But it sounds good, right?
Yeah. No, it sounds modern.
Really, yeah, it really is.
That's cool.
And as far as I understand, it was a brand new perspective in a book to follow along the murderer.
Right, right. Yeah, it's such a neat concept.
Like, if it's just him committing a murder and then swiftly picked up and put in jail, that's not a very good story.
Sure.
If he murders someone and gets away with it, somehow that's a worse story.
Yeah. True.
How does it go? Like, how could it end?
Right. That is exciting.
What did Steve have? Mesmerizingly good. Oh, he's talking about the translation. But anyway. Okay, that's what I have to say. So,
It was good seeing everybody. It's been a while.
yeah, Ben, you're doing good, right?
I'm good, yeah. Yeah, my wife's due any moment. She had some contractions last night, so we're going to go to a hospital very soon to have a baby.
We're gonna have a new little girl. I'm the uncle, so I can say that too.
That's right. I'm excited.
Okay, so thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts if you're reading along or if you've read the book. A little bit of a recap, some thoughts on part 2. Just tell my good friend Ben about it and everybody else. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care. Bye.
Bye.